What is this? And hello. Today we are going to have an evening in English, so I will switch to English. And welcome to HOSC initiative. HOSC is smoothly coming to the reality of Armenian artistic landscape. We do believe in the future of Armenian talents, and also would like to create a safe space for new initiatives and creation, especially towards art, towards science, and towards exploring new things over the whole Armenia. We are going with the different initiatives, and one of the format that we are hosting today, it's a public talk by working active specialists, where we try also to inspire our community to see what is happening in the other part of the world. But besides of that, it's also to see and to be in the open conversation with the different artists all over the world. So today's talk is going to be around 40-50 minutes, and then we will have a space for the Q&A session. So please prepare your questions, as we say so. And but meanwhile, also me and the other members of HOSC will be here whole time and ready to speak and feedback with you on the things that we should improve and the things that we should be aware of. And now HOSC is having also an open call for the visual artists, sound artists, musicians, and also performance artists. A new laboratory will be happening at the end of July and the beginning of August. Name is Notation. At the end of the presentation, we will show you a QR code, how you can register. So laboratory is also another format that we try to create for the space for new creations, as we say so. And my pleasure to present Maria Cristina Didero, as we say, MC. Back to like 2 or 3 months ago, we have got this nice call, and we got more inspired by her works. And I think that her artistic career and her approaches to do the things could be really inspiring for the ones who want to create something in Armenia. And I think today's topic will open up design from a different perspective. At least in our conversation, it was very different for me. And I hope that it will be quite insightful also for you. Please sign up to all the socials that HOSC has to be informed. And thank you for coming. And thank you to Common Ground to hosting us. And thank you to whole team behind the scene of having organized everything this. So the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here with us today. I'm so excited to be in Armenia for the first time. It's like a beautiful country. I've been here only 2 days, but I already had a sense. And thanks for being here. That's not a lecture. This is just it's a way to transmit to you what I do. I really care about saying that it's not a lecture because I am totally unacademic. I think I don't have anything to teach you, and I'm only here to show you how I did my way, how I try to navigate the world of curation within design in a personal way. I'm not 18 years old, so at my time in Italy, there was no school for curatorships or all these fantastic courses that you have now in many universities around the world and in schools. So when I started my job, I couldn't know how to define myself. And at Christmas time, I was never able to tell my grandmother what was my job or what I wanted to do. And I was saying something like, I work with designers and artists, and we try to make up interesting stories that talk about ourselves. So there are very famous and super important curators, I don't name them, that consider design consider an object of design started from the object. So what the feature of the object are, and all these things. To me, this is not important. It's important, but it's not the thing. So to me, it's pretty much interesting and fascinating to understand what comes before the object. So why this object is designed and conceived like that, and why it has been conceived, and what was the approach toward the object. Of course, the object has to have a sense, has to be meaningful, and say something. Because I guess you know that also objects have their own language. They talk to you. They bring up memories. They actually build up memories along the way as soon as you get in contact with them. So to cut it in a nutshell and to show you some slides just to go in the core of the show, to me, design, it's about people, it's not about chairs. So every time that I try to put up one of my shows, one of my exhibition, being it in an institutional museum, being it in a young foundation or maybe an independent space, I try to tell a story that I hope is of interest to people. My exhibition, usually it's like design and religion, design and violence, design and veganism. So I try to tell what is happening to now via objects. Okay, so I'll give you now a short review of my past exhibition. It's not comprehensive, but it give a sense. I was very lucky when I was 21 years old to met by chance, by mistake, I would say, Alexander von Wegesack, who was the founder of one of the most important design institution at the time, the Vitra Design Museum, based in Weil am Rhein in Germany, that I guess you know. Built by Franco Gehry in 89. It was the first building by Gehry in Europe. For us in Milan, young people, there was some sort of mecca where if you want to know about design, you had to go. And Alexander von Wegesack taught me so many things. One of them was that you have to establish a relationship with objects. And objects, they are all different. Sometimes also serial design. So when I call serial design, it's the design from companies that they have to follow rules and have precise limits because they have to be compatible with the market, with the resources, with sustainability. So you could say, oh, maybe they're a little bit boring. No, you could find something very interesting also in that, beside the collectible design. Here we are talking about collectible design. Collectible design is the sort of production made by designers and artists not in serial, just like it is in between art and design. And here we could talk forever, but that's not the case. It can give you a sense of how these weird and uncommon objects together can tell stories. So this is an exhibition that we did at the Pinacoteca Agnelli in Turin in the occasion of the World Design Capital in 1917. This exhibition, it's called 13,798 grams of design, and it was sort of an ironical take about the weight of design, about how much a table designed by famous Mark Newson could worth more than a table made by nobody. Why? Because there is the story of the object beside it, the mythology of the name of the author who did the object. So we wanted to play in this very beautiful open space that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, about objects that should weigh a lot, and instead they are not. They're very light. Talking about the collectible design that I just mentioned, as you know, there are a lot of galleries that now that since a decade at least, deals with the collectible design. Collectible design, it's pretty pricey, so it has like a precise target. And when people ask me why this, because collectible design, so the limited edition small collection are made as a platform for freedom. As I said before, you don't have to follow the rule of of the industries and the company that has to follow a rigid path in order to give to the public, to the audience, a good price object or things like that. So as you can see, a table like that made by British designer Ross Lovergrove, that was some sort of guru years ago about organic design. And this table, it's not so ethical to say, but this table costs some sort of an apartment, something like that. And here again, we could talk forever, but then it's another big subject that we cannot cover now. So as you know, all those objects are charge of the mythological entity of the author that conceived and created. This is another play with Oscar Zita, a Polish designer, very talented Polish designer. We were playing again with the light and what should be very heavy and it's not. So he made up a way in order to inflate air inside aluminium. And then we did this series of stools that, of course, not, I mean, because he did, sorry, first he did that with the iron and air. Didn't work. So we did it in aluminum, and then we managed to make them so light that they could fly in a balloon, just with one balloon, regular balloon. Again, with Oscar Zita, we talk about the reflection of what is seen and what is not seen in design. So we conceive a series of boxes where we hide the pieces of object inside for the Vienna Design Week. That was one of the visuals that you could see from the peoples in the crates. Keep Your Seat, it was an extravagant exhibition that I curated together with Danilo Ecker, that is a very important guy in Italy, one of the best curators for contemporary art. I was 23 and he was 64. So as you can imagine, again, the weight of the power of saying what we wanted to say in the exhibition was a little bit unbalanced, but I managed to make my way with this excellent piece by Ai Weiwei with the book and Marisa Merz. And so my contribution to this contemporary art exhibition that is hosting some design, as design is always the little black duck of the situation, work out very well. Then then I was called, I don't know why, I was called to Vicenza, which is 2 hours from Milan, by this very famous company that is called Bisazza. They are like leader on the market for mosaics. They had this fantastic foundation. As you walk in, you see this, triumph of Baroque and let's say pretty decorative way of presenting itself. And they asked me to run a program that could be able to bring more visitors, because the foundation was in the countryside near the manufacturing house, so it was not visited by a lot of people. So I accepted the challenge. When I arrived, that was the entrance, as I said. That was one of the pieces in their collection. This is a very a famous piece by Alessandro Mendini, one of the master of Italian design that now has passed away, and it is called the Proust chair. Proust armchair, actually. Proust armchair that the company decided to bomb with mosaic. This is the result. Then they commissioned again this series of sculpture, again with this very bold gold to Alessandro again. And then they commissioned to Spanish designer Jaime Ayllón, like a huge airplane, fake airplane, of course, in ceramic and mosaics, as you see, like very, let's say present objects. Again, this is a studio job from the Netherlands. They conceive pieces for tea time. This again all in silver, and and then they called me, as I said, and I proposed 3 projects, 3 exhibitions, one by John Poson, one by Richard Mayer, and one by French designer and architect Eric Lévy. So this is John Poson, as you see, a very simple, I would say, piece. It was some sort of round pavilion where you could see inside and, go inside. And as you see, the use of mosaics is very discreet. So it's like a silent mosaic. This is what I propose as a sculpture by Richard Mayer, again, like a white forest. So it's meaningless that I say the difference between the approach and the aesthetics of, and this is the last piece, is a meteorite from the space by Eric Lévy. Again, some sort of little pavilion where you could walk through. So, and then they fired me, of course, because we were not like tuned so much about what they wanted and what I was proposing. But we had 3 years full of visitors. Besides doing project, I also do books or let's say editorial research that then they become books. Michele De Lucchi, another master of Italian design. We did this project that became then a book with Steven Guarnaccia, who is an illustrator for the New York Times. Me and Steven, we tried to put on paper his design in a very nice way, uncommon way, unpredictable way, starting from the name of the object and to transform the story in something else. As you can see, it is drawings, but it's not the drawings for children, for kids. It's pretty much grown-up approach. Another book was very fun to do, was with Maurizio Cattelan, the famous Italian artist, and Pierpaolo Ferrari, famous Italian photographer. And again, Alessandro Bernini is always there. It was 2014, and it was 1968. And 1968 is a very important year for Italy, and maybe for a lot of Italy, Europe, and then also US, because we had what we call the demonstration. In demonstration to have, the right for abortion, the right for divorce. As you know, in Italy, we have the Vatican. So the struggle is pretty tough. The Vatican has a long story, longer than us. And in the late 60s, beginning of the 70s, we started to demonstrate for our rights. These demonstrations were, of course, influenced by creativity, as much as creativity was influenced by the political issues that arise in these days. So that's the book by Maurizio. It talks about radical products, radical design, and it is a collection by Greek collector Dakis Ioannou, who at the time had the most important radical design collection worldwide. UFO, different kind of chairs. This is called the Fiocco chairs. And of course, the picture that you see are the interpretation of Maurizio and Pierpaolo of the object itself. And then we have Pratone. Pratone is done by this Torinese group, because also Milan, Turin, and Florence were the 3 most important cities for the student demonstration. Again, everything is about irony and fooling around fooling around expectations. It's the lady with the feet in the spaghetti, just to say that maybe we can get over tradition and think about something else. This is Ettore Sozza's very famous bed, and they wanted to put it in this way with this couple covered of what's that? Cetrioli. How do you say cetrioli? Yes, thank you. This is a project, one piece, one edition by Austrian couple Michel and Traxler. This I wanted to show how from one piece, using your imagination, your creativity, you can build a world. When I say a world, I say the world of imagination, so a collection. So they from the clock, they put together a stool, a mirror. So again, with small things, you can, as you say, you can dream and do bolder. Simple. Simple is the first exhibition by Philippe Malouin. Philippe Malouin is a Canadian. It's a Canadian designer. It's so sweet. It's a Canadian designer that became very famous for his, let's say, robust and unpleasant design. I can say maybe unpleasant design. Very, so you see, very strong and simple. That is like a very simple console in wood that we presented. And he presented some engraving of wood that he did himself with this very rigid pattern. And then we had a touch of warm because this is a video of, it's a shot of a video where we wanted to say that a candle, a lighted candle with movement could create pretty much interesting imaginative visuals. Guilty, this is the boat that is customized by Jeff Koons. This is the boat by Dakis Ioannou, the guy from the Radical Design collection. And we managed to navigate this boat in various seas. And of course, when the radar gets the boat, it is a little bit annoying, let's say. So that's the pattern. And inside it was just like a regular boat. Guilty, and that's the little model that we presented in Genova for the boat fairs. And of course, it was the only boat that was not, let's say, predictable. The system of object from Baudrillard book. It's a project still in Athens, and that's the foundation I did with Andreas Angelidakis. Andrea Angelidakis is a very famous architect specialized in speculative architecture. And together we basically broke the building, we made a hole, we tried to put all the pieces of the collection of Dakis Ioannou in a very non-harmonic way, as you say. Now you have Yves Saint Laurent, and then you have, a plane, and then you have another room with so many things that you cannot actually read what they are and why they are there, but you can enjoy a little bit the fuzzy motion. Again, there was a moment for the radical design also here. That was the bed for the couple that you saw before. Joy, the basketball inspiration for Joy. Sorry, don't see where. So you see all the space were basically disrupted, and it was one of the first exhibitions that really didn't follow some sort of logical and clear itinerary. It was more about the impact that you have when you were walking through the space. We put this huge Pavel Altamer piece in the elevator. So we tried to play with it, tried to build cages where nothing was inside, but nothing was outside. Again, we had the permission, we were allowed to break the building. James Irvine, it was, because passed away, English, British designer, very strong in serial design. So he was working with the best Italian company, with Cassina and with Cartel. And unfortunately, he passed away, and we wanted to put together an homage because we knew that he was obsessed about little things. So together with the wife, we managed to have access to his archive. And we did this little Wunderkammer, this box where we mixed his personal stuff with the actual serial design object that he had designed and produced. You see. At the same time, the year that he passed away, Michael Young was a very good friend of James, which is a designer based in Hong Kong. Wanted to give his own homage, and he designed a glass for the Bar Basso in Milan. The Bar Basso in Milan is some sort of mythical place where all the young people go to see and to meet the big masters. During the Salone del Mobile, during Milan Design Week, which happened in April, you cannot even approach the bar because it's so crowded. And now, I think since a couple of years, the police decided to close the area during Salone del Mobile because people cannot access. So everybody got here, and to do a glass for such a famous place for design was another homage by Michael to James. And we did it in Murano, very slick and simple glasses. I'm just giving you like very different stories so you see. This is not a duet, that was a project for Chambers Gallery in New York. We did in 2015 with Gala Fernandez Montero, a Spanish designer, and Sung Young, a Korean designer. So I presented Gala project that was dedicated to Ettore Sozzas, as you know, another big name. And actually the one who started the radical design, the one who was inspiring the actions of the young radicals at the time, because he had like 15, 20 years more. So it was some sort of, all those little objects in marble are some sort related to Sozzas, or they can be related to pieces of furniture that have been designed by Sozzas. We put them in a nice wooden box. You see all the references. Beautiful material, pretty exhaustive example of limited edition design. This is again for Sozzas. Yeah. So Atelier Biagietti is this couple, Alberto and Laura. They are working together since years, and they are really pop. Whatever things they do, it gets that is very pop approach, even if the subject is very serious. This is an exhibition dedicated to money and being rich and being successful, and it's called God. Why? Because that could be. And God is related to what? To fortune, to lucky. So is it that you have to build your fortune, or if you are not lucky, you won't get it? We don't know. All these projects are also controversial and provocative, just to, to have a reaction. So that was God, again, another, very strong visual to play with this a fortune goddess that, of course, is blind. And because beside the storytelling, we were also presenting real furniture. So it's not only hot air, but we were producing objects. So all the related pieces of furniture are have references. These are specifically to a supermarket when you go and buy and spend the money. And when it's your turn to spend the money, and this and that, we play with the golden lingottos. Yeah. And same project. It's called, same designer, same couple, Alberto and Laura Biagietti, called Atelier Biagietti. We put together this project that was investigating our relationship with sex today. And we were imagining some sort of a private hospital where you can go if you have problem with sex, or you can go if you don't have problem with sex. And then you will find a very nice day bed, beautifully done in leather and caoutchouc, yeah, natural caoutchouc. And all these very ephemeral atmosphere where you walk in and you don't think that you are in an exhibition, you think you are in some sort of laboratory and somebody's doing some experiments on you. And so again, this is just to say that besides storytelling and telling a subject, we also have to produce some real objects that reflect the story that you are telling. Bodybuilding, so the third obsession by Atelier Viaggetti. Bodybuilding is an investigation about beauty and how beautiful we want to be, in case we want. So we put Schwarzenegger without the face, because maybe you just need muscles, you don't need the brain sometimes, or not, on a flag. So that became our flag. And this became our playground in order to get good muscles and to become beautiful, in case you think that beauty has this code, respect those codes. So yeah, this, the ball, and the chandelier is done like the ring. Yeah, so it's everything is played with the ironical approach, but the story behind is pretty much serious all the time. They did also the sneakers, because then, as you know, from a chair to a sneaker, it's easy to go. Okay, now serious again. This is a very important institution in Belgium. It's called the Grand Ornu, and as you see, it's really majestic. So when I arrived there and I saw this triumph of architecture, I thought that we should do it right and clean and slick. And it was a project with Michael Young, the designer I mentioned before. The project was called ALL, which stands for aluminium. And this is what we had to do, and then I tell you how I put up the story. We had to present a project about aluminium, how it's done, how your resources, what do you do with aluminium, what you can do, what you cannot do. So we started from the chemical code, AL, to say all, and then we managed to put a liter of milk, the same balance of the chair. This aluminium chair, the one we were doing for that show. So again, all the show is played on balance and experiments, but how to show to people how things are done. So we exploded this chair just to show how it's constructed. We did lamps in aluminium. Those are extrusion of aluminium. You see how beautiful they are. And that became seats. Of course, extrusion became seats. And then we have a little niche, and over there we had to be a little bit more serious, where we presented aluminium pieces by the master of international design. So Jean Prouvé, Ettore Sottles again. So all the pieces by other designers. That was very generous from Michael, because usually designers, they don't want other designers in their show. Just to underline how much design is about people and not about chairs, with the Museum of Applied Art in Dresden, in Germany, with the director Tulga Bayerler, a great director and a great curator and critic, we put together this show called Friends and Design. It was in the 60s. So we put Beth and Laura Wood, Philippe Malouin, Richard Houghton, Jersey Seymour, Michael Young, Matthias Sand, Thomas Alonso. We divided them in 3 groups, and each of them have a different task. One has to do the best dream gift for a friend. The other one, the 3 old guys had to conceive a piece with 3 brains and 6 hands. It was a nightmare. Also, the result of the piece was a nightmare. So we actually wanted to work on emotions and giving the attention to the final result. So the object, very less attention. So that was the place. I always like to show you the place where I do the exhibition, because you see how different they are also. Beautiful, with the beautiful garden. This is the project by Canadian Philippe Malouin and British Beth and Laura Wood. Each of them wanted to design the dream bed for the other. So that's the result. Matthias Land and Thomas Alonso, instead, as an object of design, they did a trip. They bought a Mini with the budget that the museum was giving to produce the piece, and they drove from London to Dresden. That was, like the ephemeral approach to answer to the curatorial pitch. And then you say, okay, but then what are you showing in the galleries? We showed this fantastic diary where they were taking any other comments, also how much they were spending for the fuel, or like the sandwich was no good in wherever they stopped. Very interesting. So some sort of anthropological design. Here again, pretty serious Israeli institution, Holon, founded by Galit Gaon, the daughter of the most important design expert in Israel, the one who brought Ettore Sotas to Jerusalem Museum. I mean, so very charged expectations. Museum done by Ron Arad, star, not all Israeli star, I mean, design star, but made by Italian company, I want to say that. So we did this project that was the first museum show by Nendo. Nendo is one of the most important Japanese designers, I guess you know, and one of his features is that he's very prolific. So at 31 years old, he already produced some sort of 1,500 product in production. He designed. It's designed. It's so spontaneous and fast. I was very surprised because it was the first time that I could assist to such a quick and such a imaginative force that was translated from the thought to the paper so quickly and so efficiently. The project was called the Space in Between. I mean, we were investigating the relationship between object and installation. We, again, consider all objects as people. So we put them in their own houses. We tried to do a little village. So every object was inhabiting with other objects. That's him, young. Oh, Saluti da Rimini. So Saluti da Rimini is what we called anthropological experience. So we were so lucky that the City Council of Rimini, which is this city on the Adriatic coast, called us to think about a good way to advertise the city, that it was known only for the summer vacation, the beach. We have this beautiful piadina that we eat, so the food was very strong, was a very good point there. But then, they wanted to add another layer, and they wanted to offer something more to these tourists. They said that they had no project, no museums, and this is, when in a city you don't have museum, this is like a tragedy. So with, again, Maurizio Catellano and Pier Paolo Ferrari, we put together this project called Saluti da Rimini, that in Italian means greetings from Rimini, and we conceived a series of postcards which we were sending around via post to the people in town, and that they were blown up all around the city. Each visual would have been put in a very specific and crucial venue of the city, just to give a better sense and a deeper impact. Saluti da Rimini, so it's always Maurizio Catellano approach. So this was in front of the beach where everybody goes, and it was about, you don't need to be naked to be cool, something like that. Then we have the heaviest being male. Rimini is in Emilia-Romagna, so it is a region that the storytelling of the region is that male are very strong, and they are called vitelloni, which means big beef in English. Very strange approach between girls and boys. So he wanted to fool around this subject and to to fool around the history and tradition, he put this lady that is actually drinking a glass of tea right in front of the most important historical monument that we have in Rimini. I'm from Rimini. I didn't say that. Okay. And it is showing the Roman Empire that is conquering us, but then we some sort of resisted also. So again, I wanted to show the visual of the postcard within the territory. So we did this big, this is one of the most important hotel in Rimini. It's called the Grand Hotel. It was a huge inspiration for Fellini. Federico Fellini was a very, very important director of coming from Rimini, and we wanted to fool around rich people and the lobsters and all these were related. Again, this is the prison, and Maurizio and Pierpaolo together we thought that prison could, if you do a prison with this cage made of sausage, maybe it is also an interesting and funny prison. Again, against the Roman. This guy that is sitting on a couch, bombed with spaghetti. Again, this I show you the repetition because then I show you how we install them in the city itself. Okay, that's the station. It's a BMW full of empty beer cans. Yeah, you got it. This is Luna Park with a girl pretty much in love with the French fries. And it was the back of the postcard that we were sending out. The Merchant of Clouds, it's by Studio 65. It's one of those group of the radical designers I was mentioning before, the one they were demonstrating when young, this and that. We did it in Turin. I think that you all have seen this couch with the big lips. It was made in 1968, and it was again a provocation. Well, they had a provocation about everything, about history, about America, that at the time was busy in Vietnam, and of course all the demonstrations were against the Vietnam War. We have a little insect that is very greedy and is eating money. And then it's all about this idea of the sky and the clouds. This is this is a bed made for a pharaoh, and yeah, happy Roma. So when you have a commission from somebody that can handle a budget, you can understand how to where to spend the money, where don't want to spend the money. So with very young, I took a risk with Cristina Celestino. That was a commission by Fendi, the fashion house, for a Design Miami Fair with 2016. We had to make it slick, but I had to show Fendi that even a very young designer with no history, no career, nothing, so not a big name, not a blue chip, could tell a story that was good for such a big brand, no? And we did this very nice and simple console with all the textile by the luxury brand. Some sort of very simple but very sophisticated atmosphere. I show you this in comparison to what we saw before that was more rough and also I like to work in foundries. I also like to work hands-on with the designer when I can. I mean, there is the chance that the curator can actually, I don't want to say produce the piece with the artist or the designer, but can work with him or be present when they do it. So that was, it's a short circuit in the title. It is serial planks. Planks cannot be serial, but we did it in copper. So we had the same wooden plank transformed in copper, and we could replicate it how many times we wanted. So the Italian radical design is what I told you before, and we did an exhibition in New York, and a book published by Monacelli Press, and a film that I did together with my friend Francesca Molteni. It was a big book about this period, and visual of Super Studio, Ugo La Pietra. Ugo La Pietra was a radical from Milan. He was radical in the sense that his work was down in the street, and it was in between design and performance. So this is it. Again, the Pratone, as I said. Why Pratone? Because they were fooling around nature. Nature is the mother of everything, and at the time they had to be subversive towards anything. So they wanted to reproduce nature and put it in an apartment. And how I can produce nature with plastic, which now is like horror, but at the time, Polyuteran really made the dreams for these artists, because before that, there were not angles. Everything was like, everything was angles. You couldn't have round objects. This is from Lapo Pinazzi, from UFO, from Florence, and it is a lamp that fool around the American MGM company. As you see, there's not the lion, but there are some references. Okay, so those are the guys that participated in this film, and then maybe I ask for the little first film.
Se continui così perdi il treno. Cucù!
Super design.
The language of design is the language of eating a proper meal.
If you turn off the machine, I can tell you something.
Posso fare dei movimenti di torso?
Se devo parlare di me, io mi sento ancora oggi un radicale.
Buongiorno.
Il design radicale non è mai esistito.
Everywhere you are, you must be radical in the spirit, not in the architecture.
Yeah, we use the word revolutionary.
Questo Olivetti non è male, scricchiola tutto.
In the United States, they would put pop art on the wall. In Italy, they'd put it on the floor and live with it.
Before using this term architettura radicale, the term which was used for our production was anti-design.
Il delirio di poter progettare tutto.
È stata un'avventura alla quale ho partecipato per caso. Comunque sono contento di averla vissuta.
È stata una bella stagione, una bella primavera.
The rebellion, it's possible.
Pieces really just basically turned it upside down and were so expressive and so powerful, and again challenged your idea of beauty, of what something could be.
Vita, educazione, cerimonia, amore, morte. Life, education, ceremony, love and death.
Super design is something to go and discover.
L'umanità ha sempre vissuto con la successione di stili, dagli egiziani fino ad oggi. Cioè noi avevamo sempre delle piccole gabbie che ci costruivamo, dove il barocco, il neoclassico.
Yes, so I wanted to show this trailer because it's really... Thank you, guys. Every time that I see now, I have goosebumps because, as you can imagine, more than half of these people passed away, and we were very lucky because of the age. We were very lucky to intercept them when they were already in late 70s. So it was very, again, on a personal and emotional point of view, very much interesting, and professionally was really a breaking point. You have Alessandro Mendini, Audrito, Lapo Binazzi. Some of them are not with us anymore. So we go to vegan design. Vegan design is one of those subjects that I really liked. And when I met this Israeli designer, Erez Nevipana, and he showed me his way of recycling everything. So he's working with the salt, dipping object in the Dead Sea. He was working with the paper, making sure that while the paper is produced, no kind of life it's going to be killed. We work with the earth, recycle of textile, and again the salt from the Dead Sea. It was very interesting for me because working with Erez really opened some sort of approach to sustainable design that has also to be applied to limited edition. Not only the big companies has to respect some standards, but also when you produce your little things in yourself, you can be responsible and sustainable. This is a book that somebody else did about me without telling me like halfway, and it is a series of interviews that I did to people. As you can guess, I do exhibition, films, but I also write for magazines and for catalogs and books. And this guy called Okolo, they are from Prague, from the Czech Republic. They put together this very little and simple books with all my interviews. And they wanted to play with, typewriting and to have like half of the page, because when you do interviews, you always miss something. When you come home from an interview, while you walk in your house, you said, oh, I should have asked that. That's typical. So they also had an exhibition in Prague for the Prague Design Week, which is usually in October. And also the exhibition reflected basically the book. So this is the other way around. The exhibition reflects the book and not the book that reflects the exhibition. I'm saying that because we put all the paper insert in the aluminum foil. A fun house, pretty political project in Washington, D.C. for the 10 years of Snarkitecture. Snarkitecture is an architectural practice based in New York. And we had the chance to use this amazing museum, so super institutional, super put together. I mean, 1 kilometer from the White House, National Building Museum. Now you will see the measure of the place and the space that we had available. So we didn't know how to reflect the 10 years career of the studio by also trying to say something about what was going on. And of course, I have to say that it was the first mandate of Trump. And of course, we were not so happy about it. So we did this fun house inside this National Building Museum. And it was a project which was composed by a house, a White House, which we called Fun House, and a pool made of bubbles. Of course, it was a very subtle but pretty much clear expression that we were not so happy with what was going on in the real White House. Again, 1 kilometer from us. The place is also amazing with all these big columns. We really had the chance to make it big, and we did. Again, the pool with all the kids. The pool is done by plastic recycled, plastic little balls. So we wrote Fun House with seats, polluteran, people could sit, and on the other side of the place you had the actual White House here. So it is it's open. There are some links that I want to tell you. It's open, while the real one it's pretty closed. And it gives you a sense of, if you walk in, you don't understand so much, you have a smile, which I'm not sure if it is the same for the the real one. Anyway, that's what we did. Design and religion. That was Milan Design Week 2019. And I was so lucky to be given one of the most important churches in Milan. Remember, churches, Italy, Vatican, very delicate subject. Of course, I was so happy I went for it. I said, yeah, I take it. I didn't know what to do. I said, the project will come. So I called my Lebanese young designer at the time, Carlo Massoud. Nobody knew if he was Muslim, Catholic, Jewish, whatever other, The thing is that somebody from Lebanon was doing a show inside one of the most important Italian Milanese churches. So we conceive a sculpture made of amber of a fish. The fish, as you know, is the symbol of Christ. And we put it in this little capella near the big church. But then he was by himself. So we thought that we need some people. And also, the project is called The Fish and the Crowd. So we put, we had to have people, so we put all the little sculpture as people, as believers that are praising this fish. Also, these had some critics, but it was on all magazines, and we did it very well. And we wanted to explain that any kind of religion can be together, and we were very proud of what we did. That's a beautiful sketches by Carlo that I always show because it's really beautiful. And this is how he managed to work with the pieces of amber. Oh, that's a charity project because, we did all these things with, big budget, medium budget, zero budget sometimes. So with my friend Libby Sellers in London, we wanted to do a charity, and we were very lucky that the designer, from our community, the one we have worked with, or people we are close to, they all conceived a brand new piece for this Christmas charity. We sold the pieces and we gave everything to dry organization. People that used to drink and had to, I don't know the word in English. Again, my friend Erez from Israel, Tropical Milan, we go on with this idea of sustainability and the climate change and everything. So we conceive for the Milan Design Week this project that was not so appreciated by the city council and the mayor, who wrote us a letter, because we were saying that Milan is a tropical city. If we go on like that, devastating our planet, we will become living in a cage, cotton cage, but still a cage, and only the banana trees would survive the heat. This is a project that I did in Rimini during the COVID. It is a project about resilience. It was a project about standing together, being united in order to go on and do something for ourselves. I was called again, dopo Saluti da Rimini, the postcard, the mayor called me again and he asked me to think about some design, Christmas lights, all those lights that so I was looking up and I said, oh, so boring. So maybe we can look down, that we have some water, some interesting thing. I call this very young designer again. When you work with young designer, which is what I like, it's very nice, very, very giving, but it's always a risk because you don't know very well if they can deliver what you are asking. So you really have to follow closely. Rimini on the Adriatic coast, there is the sea, there was the harbor, so there was this beautiful sort of lake near the center of the city. So we thought that maybe we could conceive these boys and make them work with solar light. He conceived the piece brand new. We find a company near Ferrara, so where there is no sea, so no interest. It was very nice that they accepted to be sponsor of our project. And we produced like a new object. So a boys with the solar panel, and we put all of them 208, 208, it's the title of this project, because 208 are the number of all the countries in the world, saying that, you know, there was COVID, we were together, we were all on the same boat, and we have to keep strong, navigating together, keeping the same distance one to the other, but being there silently, but alive with the light. The light that was coming in the day with the solar panel, and in the night was blinking. So that was the result. Yeah, so only this. This extraperlo, it was a funny experiment. It talks about ego and being self-centered, or being more flexible and playful about your job. So with the Spanish designer Jorge Penades, during the pandemic, I said that because we did everything online and it was such a big job, we wanted to do a show curating curators. How can you dare curating curators? I mean, so of course our the most flexible friends, curator friends, accepted, and we have 15 of them, from Jane Wieters to Libby Sellers, Arik Chen, big names. They conceived like a little project. They sent us in a show box, because we didn't have, this is one of those projects with zero budget, okay? So we didn't have any money, so they were sending this project to us in the show box, and we show. This is like a game with the design theories, but it is also the game for kids, as you see. This is Arik Chen, sent it from Beijing, and he was playing about stamps. When you have a stamp for the authenticity, but then you can have a stamp for non-authenticity. So that was a game about China. Somebody else, this is ceramic collection. I show this because just to say that people really took it seriously. Some of them put together like a big production. We said that we didn't have money for nothing besides paying for the shoebox, but they accepted. The conversation show is really close to what I do, because I think that design is dialogue and design is exchange. So the conversation show was again in Holon after Nendo, so Tel Aviv, and we called five designers to conceive a piece together. And this is architecture again, with those fake mirror and fake doors. I mean, you didn't know which one is what. This is Big C from the Netherlands. They conceived some sort of software that was talking Japanese, as Sayak is Japanese, and Israeli, as both is from Israel. And we have Zaven from Venice, from Murano. So they played with the Murano glass, inserting a light inside. So some sort of pocket was the first time that something like that could be done with the Vetro di Murano. Project called Dunes, in homage to the desert. Design Miami, I was curatorial director of Design Miami in 2022. It was not so far from the pandemic. I called the season, the thematic of the season, the golden age, because I thought that from the moment of crisis, you can have like a burst of creativity and people really make up something in order to do better and to change the situation that is not a comfortable one. So, and I collected different objects in order to tell the story of what was to me the golden age. We also did an hammam with some tiles from Dubai. This is a project from last year, Indian Tiny Mega Store. Was like a little space, 27 square meter in the heart of Milan, that I gave to this Indian designer Gunjan Gupta to reproduce her approach to life, which is all about food. So it is some sort of different collection about tableware. That's how it looked like. So as you see, another project with zero budget. But we have like the ceramic tiger. We managed to have a few other things, craft and tact. We're almost finished. Craft Tech is my last project. It's a project about craftsmanship, technology and craftsmanship. We put 6 international designers to work together with 6 Japanese artisans. In most cases, they couldn't speak a word. I mean, there was this silence moment where they were making things, and that was what we really wanted to show. How much creativity has no language. It's just a matter of understanding each other. So this project has been presented last year in Tokyo at the Kudan House. It has been presented in Basel in June. And it has been presented at the Victoria and Albert Museum in September. Some pieces with the famous Japanese lacquer. Ini Archibald, he made this object because the aliens told him that it was the right one. Everyone had his own interpretation. A beautiful ceramic light from Hideki Yoshimoto, an homage to Japanese brutalism and metabolism, so Arate Zozaki and all the architects of the time. This is by Studio Swine from London. And this is a textile piece. We really actually had also like this some sort of little architecture, because it is a portable tea ceremony room, something like that. We recreated with this textile. The project, Future Impact. This was this year, a few months ago. Milan Design Week, we're almost there. Milan Design Week, I was called by the Singapore Design Council to do a project for the 60th anniversary of the nation, the foundation of the nation of Singapore. And we wanted to present, we were 3 curators, Tony Chambers, me, and Anne Vai. We presented this project in a beautiful church in Italy. And we had all the very young talent from Singapore bringing their own vision. This is a project about mushroom. This is a solar oven. A very simple chair made with knots. And thank you. Now I have the little, yeah. Because my activities with film is pretty considerable, I also wanted to show you my last movie that I did with with Francesca Molteni. It's a film dedicated to the Campana brothers. Maybe you know they are from Brazil, and they have been, the pioneer of sustainability, working for the first time with the kids in the favelas, with poor material, what they found. And I met them when I was 21. We've always been together. Then one of the two brothers, one of the two passed away 3 years ago, and we decided to tell their story, taking the occasion to give to Fernando an homage. And this is my last project, and then we're finished.
Lam la na 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 la na 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 pam pam. Every move that I saw, I want to be someone. Indigenous, whatever, All my childhood, I planted trees and plants, and Fernando as well. He's always present. He's in another dimension, but very close, every day. He always wanted to work with this when he was alive, and I always say, no, Fernando, I don't like this, it's too much. I guess 4 months later, I had a dream. He was suggesting to do a chandelier. I'm very blessed to have the people collaborating with me, like my family.
Umberto et Fernando Campana ont souvent parlé également que le design devait rendre heureux, tout simplement créer de la joie et relier les autres.
So I will
kind of open up this Q&A session, giving you some time of, I mean, like, you don't need to ask a question, you know, like, if there is something you would like to, because we will also be here, you can also spend your time in more informal Q&A, we can say so, but it's also nice if we can also have your feedbacks. Maybe my question will sound like too journalistic or something, but I still want.
So you have a question?
I have a question. I do, because all your works has got this like activism, reflecting on the reality, you know, like being there, being in the moment, and how is it for you? Whenever you are opening up a question with your work, is it something that you close afterwards, like where it stays all these questions? Because like, especially when I mean, like, even the question of the religion, even the questions of everything, like, where are these questions? Is it in everyday?
Yeah, no, of course you don't. It would be so easy to close such a big subject with an exhibition. So no, they stay there and they follow you all your life. And but I think it is correct to talk about things, not to pretend that they are not there. And the best tragedies in the history happen because we pretended not to see what was going on. So no, it's like something that I don't know if I have an answer to your question, but no, it's something that is going on after the show. Then, you know, journalists ask you, and then you have the chance. You know what? This is very important, to have the chance to speak up, to have the chance to tell people what you think or what you are dealing with, and what is your perspective.
There is a question. Okay.
My question is, Stefan Sagmeister, in his semi-recent book on beauty, violently rejects modernism, calls Walter Gropius an idiot, and says that beauty is not subjective or cultural. He says that it is hardwired into us. And then he shows some like questionable everyday objects as new standards of beauty. As an insider, do you think he's onto something here? And do you think he really believes what he says? Or is it just a Marxist campaign?
Thank you very much for bringing up such a huge and important character of the contemporary culture. Stefan Sagmeister is a friend. We did a little job together at the Biennale in Brno. It was the Biennale of graphic design, which is not actually my stuff, because I'm more in product design, as you know. But I really appreciate what he does, even if he's very bold and speak up very strongly about subjects. I think, as I just said, that he is one of those who was able to talk about difficult and unpleasant subject in a very personal way, via his job also. And great esteem for Stefan. He actually then built up some sort of new trend in graphic design, I have to say. I mean, he's pretty much peculiar. And at the end of the day, Sagmeister is one of those. Have you ever seen a lecture by Sagmeister? I would suggest it. Much better than me. And it's really good in entice the public into his world and his brain, which then you don't have to accept everything that he does. I understand what you mean, and I understood what you refer about difficult expression. But I think that it's very good to speak up and to talk about the subject that he cares for.
We have got this nice walk together in the city. It's your first time traveling here, but I can't not to ask this question about what are your feelings? What are your feelings? Do you think that, I mean, you know, how you will describe like your experience like for this couple of hours
here in the city?
Yeah, like how will you curate your experience?
First of all, I want to say that your city is amazing and it's super clean. We come from a country.
No,
wow. Why?
Because otherwise our municipality will give it and then they will never clean it.
No, I don't want to say that I was surprised because it's not that I thought that it was not. But as we are used to our country, which is a very fascinating country for a lot of aspects, but has a lot of problems for some other aspect. Mafia, the Vatican, the dirty. I can go on for a while. So I really enjoy Yerevan, and maybe today was also a special day. No, it's your day. It was very interesting atmosphere, and we had this very long walk. We visited the market, and we could have like a little idea of what of the big culture that you have here, which I would love to know more.
On this note, soon we are going to have another lab, which name is Notation. I will ask to put the slide, where we will work with the music heritage. And this is going to be notes, like culture, digital scores from 60s, 70s, and 80s. And this is going to be a nice time where visual artists, performance artists, and sound artists, musicians can also reinterpret, rethink, rework, whatever with the culture heritage. And I think that the cultural memory is also something that is popping out in the different works that you have. Can you like somehow like, because it's also a very interesting topic in Armenia, like being ancient country. And also you're saying Vatican, but we are the one who accepted Christianity as its first state religion, you know?
Nobody's perfect.
So we're also strong there. So how you will motivate? Because sometimes it's also hard to work with the heritage and the memory and everything.
I love memories. Yeah. Maybe I mentioned very quickly before, sorry, that was very quick, but I had a lot to say. I didn't want to get bored you so much. But when I was talking about object, I actually think that object can reflect your life, your what you are surrounded by influence you somehow. And here we could talk about like bad and unfortunate contexts where people come from compared to other more decent and easy context. And building memories along the way is very much important because it grows yourself. No, I mean, like I don't know. I've always been very much obsessed about object. When I was young, I was pretty much alone, so I loved to play with I didn't want to be sad, but I love to play with the objects, sometimes better than other kids. And so those objects, they were becoming like characters and build the story, so build the memory. So very important, I think. I don't know if I answer.
Yeah. And this is the last call to the audience. If there is a question, please go ahead. And if not, we will also be here for a little bit, and then you can ask more informal environment. Before that, please follow host for the new opportunities, because each month we are having 1 or 2 international lectures from a very, very, very different disciplines. For example, our next international speaker is going to speak about the sound and the music for the theater performances and dance pieces. So it's interesting thing happening in the city. So it's worth to be checked. And also the ones who would like to check and be a part of the Notations laboratory, please scan the QR. As you can see, we are a huge fan of QRs, so please scan the QR. And because the open call is still June 15, and we did our best to make a special program for you. And we are very, 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 very thankful for you to be here, to stand with us. Thank you for the whole team who were behind of this thing which is happening. Thank you.
I also want to thank you.
And thank you to MC, and thank you also to Andron and Andries, who couldn't make it today, but they're also a very important part of host. Thank you.
That's it.
And thank you for inviting me. And thank you very much.